get right into it. Godzilla vs. Kong. Okay. By now, because this all happened yesterday, by now you would have seen, undoubtedly, you would have seen videos, articles, everything saying it's going to be delayed. There are massive concerns about this movie. Don't believe the hype. Okay? Don't believe the hype. So, this is all, interestingly enough, it comes direct from Warner Bros. Absolutely. But again, it's one of those things where this hysterical, just radical kind of articles have popped up out of nowhere from probably about that much of a quote. It's absolutely nothing. So all of this was at a produced by conference. Warner Bros. Sat down, discussing bits and pieces. Nothing too crazy has come out about this, except for that one tiny, tiny, tiny little quote. And the whole quote is... where is it? Here we go. As far as franchise fatigue with Legendary's Godzilla King of the Monsters tanking, this is Deadline's words here, which we're going to get to whether it is tanking or not in another second. But Toby Emmerich, who is one of the Warner Bros. Heads, said that next year's movie, Godzilla vs. Kong, this is the quote, this is where the articles have come from, will deliver for fans in the way they were looking for. It might come out later in the year so we can deliver an A+ movie. That's it. That is it, and that is where all of this hysteria has come from. Now, first and foremost, Deadline, get your facts right. Is Godzilla tanking? What's this? Oh, just under $300 million has it made worldwide in 2 weeks? I wouldn't really consider that tanking, considering it has an estimated production budget of $170 million. It has not broken even yet, but it will do by next week. And then it will go into profit. The thing everyone seems to forget and I don't understand why, because it's very easily accessible, but all we need to do is take a look at, say, the series of Godzilla. Okay, Godzilla 2014. Let's look at what it made in its weekly totals. Okay, so the thing with respect to all of this is every single movie in the Godzilla franchise has had a massive drop-off, right? A huge drop-off from week to week, but they've had legs. May through to August. May, let me just repeat that, guys. May through to August. Every single movie, and again, we'll just confirm this because this is where this hysteria has come from, and it's baffling to me. But if we then take a look over here, is it going to even show it? Probably won't show it now. Okay, so let me just... And again, because Kong, Skull Island was exactly the same. It was exactly the same. Weekly, March through to June. March through to June. Big drop off, but continued. Every single movie in this franchise has had legs. So the fact that in its second week, let's just shuffle on back. The fact that in its second week, we now have Godzilla King of the Monsters hitting just under $300 million is fine. That's absolutely fine. And no, like a lot of people have said, I'm an apologist for this movie. I'm really not, because mathematics don't lie. They're just there in front of us. It's not tanking. It hasn't tanked. In its second week, it has almost gone into profit. Now, I know it's not ideal. Of course it's not. But the fact that it is now at that point where it's going to start making money as of next week, more than likely. And the audience reviews are so strong for this film. Again, it just implies heavily that it will take after the Monsterverse history of films where it will have legs. It's its second week. The first one ran from May until August. Kong ran from, off the top of my head, what was it, March until June? March, April, May, June? Yeah, I mean, for goodness sake, guys. It's not tanking, and this is where I think Deadline is deeply, deeply wrong with it. You know, to imply that it's tanking is really bad and lazy journalism, because it just shows what I've just showed. You just haven't done your research. It's not tanking at all. Now, we need to remember that with respect to Godzilla vs. Kong, it was moved up. It was moved up. And the reason why it was moved up was because of Fast and Furious 9, I think it was. So it wanted to get out of the way of that movie. Originally, the production plan was to have quite a long, you know, a long wait, and would release, you know, previous to, rather than moving forwards. The reason why it's moved forward was scheduling. Now, it wasn't moved forward because they were ready to release it. It was moved forward simply for scheduling. They might have said, and again, read between the lines here, there's a lot of post-production work that needs to be done on these films. The CG gets worked right up until, sometimes very, very close to the release of these films. Especially with Godzilla vs. Godzilla King of the Monsters, we saw the effects changing with every single trailer that was released. They were working on that very, very close. So, is this because Godzilla vs. Kong is in trouble? Has it been delayed? No, not yet. And the theory is, the highly likelihood of this, of actually being delayed, is more that it will be put back to the original production timeline, the original production schedule that was planned, because it was moved up simply for scheduling. And it was moved up quite a lot. It wasn't a small amount. If I can just shuffle on back through here, because again, this is all, and the sensationalist articles that have been coming out about this is just insane. So Screen Rant did an article, and even in it, they list that it's been moved forward, but they failed to note, and again, because it's thriving off that sensationalism, they failed to note that actually, the likelihood is because of the scheduling, because it was formally moved forward. So if we just go through here, it was moved from, so it's from May to March. So it was a whole 2 months. A whole 2 months is a lot. That's a lot for post-production work. That's a lot. And it was only done because of Fast and Furious 9. So for this, for Deadline, for Screen Rant to start mouthing off and saying that it's all in concern and blah, 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 blah. All of this stuff is just, again, you've got to read between the lines, you've got to look at the history of it all. The fact that, you know, the delay isn't yet confirmed, Godzilla vs. Kong, fans should prepare for one. Yeah, fine. 2 months, it was probably 2-3 months is probably going to be the delay. And if it is, that's actually sticking to its original production schedule, which is nothing to be concerned about at all. I had so many comments released about this. People were saying it's going back for reshoots. Where's that come from? Who's saying it's going back for reshoots? The excerpt was, it will deliver for fans in a way that they were looking for. It might come out later in the year, so we can deliver an A+ movie. I would hazard a guess, and I've reached out to some contacts at Warner Bros, some sources of mine, and they've just stated, in theory, it's just because of post-production work. Like I say, to really hammer home that this is tanking is simply not true. It hasn't broken even yet. That's not great by any stretch of the imagination. But let's look at the history of the franchise. They have all had legs. People seem to forget that movies are not made, they're not made or broken on their opening weekend. It's not the be-all and end-all of movies, especially the Godzilla franchise, when they've ran, historically in theatres, for months and months and months. I would imagine this will start to hit good numbers in its coming weeks, because that's what the others have told us that they will. That's what the Monsterverse as a franchise has indicated. So I hand it on over to you guys, though, because obviously, I had so many comments yesterday on yesterday's video saying, have you heard this? It's been delayed. Oh my god. I hand it on over to you. What do you think? Do you think we really need to be concerned, or did you forget that Godzilla vs. Kong was actually moved up by 2 months? Did you forget that? And do you take into account, like I do, the Godzilla King of the Monsters and the historical history of the franchise having a lot of legs. I don't think we need to be that concerned, and I don't think Warner Bros. Is. This doesn't scream of being concerned to me. It just screams a very standard PR spin of, we want to make a good film. It might get delayed. There's a lot of post-production on these films. 2 months moving up is a lot. There's a lot of effects that need to be done. Moving it 2 months was ambitious, to say the least. And it's not, they didn't keep to their original production timeline by doing that. So, but I thought I'd bring you this. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comments section.